Welcome aboard, passengers. Mega Sim here. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. It's a lovely Friday today. Last night we had the Bakerloo gameplay. So today's video is a fact-finding mission. So I'm not going to use any footage from the gameplay last night because I know we're all very much looking forward to playing on the Bakerloo Line. I'm trying to get it out of my mind so I'm ready for next week. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to let you know a few points that we found out from the video, discuss them, and then kind of ignore them after that, you know, take it out of our minds, ready for next week so we have it all fresh so we can play on that, drive the underground train in a great way. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, we're going to look at a few points. So first of all, we went from Elephant and Castle to Harrow and Wealdstone, so we started in the underground part. So when we were in the tunnels, it was pretty dark. Now you've probably seen actual YouTube videos, real live footage of the Bakerloo Line, and you can see the track and you can see the tunnels and the, you know, the walls and things like that. But on Train Sim 2 on Matt's gameplay, couldn't see it. It was pretty dark. I don't know if it was his contrast or the streaming or whatever, but maybe it's just because our eyes get used to the dark that we would then see it in real life, whereas for the gameplay it can be quite tricky to do that. So not sure if there's going to be any changes on that. Some people on the forums did say about contrast, but let's see. But it was pretty dark on there. Now we know that there are two types of brakes. There's the Westinghouse brake, which is the old style brake. The only thing I can really compare it to, you may say I'm wrong, is, you know, the Peninsular Corridor. So you know where you're in the back car and you've got the brake where it kind of adds the brake and it adds it more and more and more, and then you hold it. That's kind of like Westinghouse. That's the simplest way of saying it. If I'm wrong, leave a comment below, but that's kind of how I'm viewing it without looking into too much detail. Now we did see, so this was a production version. It wasn't a development version, it was a production version. It's not the final version. There's still 4 or 5 versions to go. But if, for example, this game came out today, that kind of would be it, which doesn't sound great, but that's kind of how they viewed it. It's still test, but it's not development. So there were a few issues with it. We saw a few Superman flying through the sky. That was quite funny at Kenton Station. They were flying up and down. And also a couple of other stations that were sitting on the signs, and they were a bit getting out on and off the train. So we'll see how that goes, but it was funny to see it, and then Matt quickly looking away and Sam going, "No, look back, why are there people flying?" So yeah, that was quite cool. I say cool, I think it was quite funny, but yeah, we don't want that on the end game next week, so that's something they are working on. Now, when we put some questions in place around 4K, they said that a lot of the questions that were being asked are for tomorrow or for today's Q&A, but they mentioned about 4K on PC and saying that Matt was only on 1080, but they didn't mention console 4K. So hopefully we'll get that answer tonight. But they did mention that the console has lower res buildings, so just to make it run smoother. So I think there may not be 4K, but let's see. Now another thing that they mentioned as well is something that's not very realistic, but they had to do it for Train Sim 2, and that is the front door. So when you look at the videos of London Depot, real life videos, you see the driver climbing into the front door and then into the cab and pokes his head out to check that the red lights are off and the front lights are on, you know, that sort of thing, and then he moves forward. Now, we're not getting the front door. The front door is sealed. The reason why it is sealed is because of the tunnels. So we know that with the tunnels, so we can walk most places outside, but the tunnels are blocked. There's a wall in place, an invisible wall that stops us from going in because there's not enough room between us and the train. So it gets a bit dangerous and doesn't look great. So the front door is sealed because if it was open, then once we get past that invisible wall, we could effectively go through the front door and walk through the tunnel. Yeah, so bit of the fun police, but I understand fully why they have stopped that. A bit of a shame because it's not realistic at the depot, but Yeah, totally understand. Totally understand. But also the third rail is not out of bounds, so that's cool. You can walk over it. It's not an issue. But I guess what we'll try and do is we'll try and keep it realistic and go over the walkways in the depots instead of just straight over the track. But all good so far. Now, what else we were looking at? So this is all jumbled up. So what I did is I watched the video and I wrote a load of things down, and then afterwards I was like, oh no, I forgot that bit, and typed that up as well. So it will be a bit random on this as well. So the next point that we looked at was the depots, which we said about. The depots do look good with the Shard in the background at the London Road depot. We were at the Stonebridge depot. So yeah, really nice depots on there. I keep saying depots. But yeah, really nice to see all the trains there. But we know that the timetable service is a lot lower than it should be. 200 services that we're getting, 202 I think it was, whereas with the 39, was it 36? The number's upside down. 36 or 39 trains in total, there are 600 to 1,000 real life timetable services, so it's not realistic. Something where we're going to get double soon. Not sure if that's going to be on console or on the newer console, but we'll find out. But yeah, with the timetable service, it means that a lot of the trains are in the depots, not out on the road. But that is because they can't pop in and pop out of the line. Once they're on the track, they have to go back and forth. So that's the only thing. Now, talking about timetables, what I found was really weird, which, you know, after thinking about it, is, you know, yeah, pretty realistic. You have to really push the train. You have to come in fast into the station, emergency brake, as soon as the door's shut, vroom, straight off, because the timetable is so tight. Just looking at Matt yesterday, he did a few bits, but I thought he didn't do too bad. He was about 6 to 8 minutes late. It could have been more, but in my mind right now, because I didn't write it down, I think it was about 6 to 8 minutes late. And that is an issue, especially if we've got the destination boards, which try and do the timetable times instead of dynamic. So when you use the Underground next week, you need to push it to the max. Full acceleration, full braking, zoom into the stations. You can't crawl in like I've done on all the other timetables, you know, routes. These timetable slots are really, really tight. But another good thing to kind of think of. But yeah, as you can remember on the Underground, they are vroom, 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 straight in, straight out, and they can't delay, because if they do, it all backs up. Anyway, but that was quite good. Now, we did look at some of the tunnels. Now, most of the tunnels, the tunnels in the Walkway Tunnels. Most of the Walkway Tunnels in the Underground are literally a little walk between the two platforms because they're next to each other. But there were ones like Baker Street where there was, even though they were next to each other, there was kind of like a little bit extra to kind of go round, which was quite nice. Queen's Park does have a ticket hall kind of thing, so that's quite nice. So if you have to walk through the ticket hall to get to the platform, you will have it. But yeah, it would be nice to do some exploration with that when we get the game. Now, the sounds were a little quiet in the carriage. The thing is that, you know, you're not going to get them exact. They said that the sounds were quite hard to get hold of when they were doing their settings and, you know, testing and microphones and stuff like that with TFL service, you know, going online and doing things like that. The safety, that was it. The TFL safety was an issue, so they couldn't do exact microphone sound test, you know, recordings and things like that they usually would. I guess it's like sticking it out of a train and stuff like that, because it's, you know, in a tunnel, it's quite dangerous. Anyway, so not all the sounds are there, so things like the full clanking over the points, you don't really get it. But I've seen on the forums that the sound volumes were a bit off, so hopefully they'll be increasing that, especially with what we've said. In the carriage, it is silent. You know where you go on Great Western Express and you sit in the carriage, it's pretty quiet. It was like that. So hopefully they're going to whack up the volume, because the Underground is loud wherever you are on the train. It is not quiet. So hopefully we'll get that. Also, talking about sounds, the announcements. So we don't get, on on-board announcements, so we don't get train announcements, we don't get, you know, mind the gap and things like that. And actually, it sounds like they've taken the announcements from the Great Western Express from Paddington. You know, the lady about, you know, smoking and things like that. Come on, you should have created some underground TFL-based announcements, not just rehashed. So hopefully they will do something about that. But I was a bit disappointed that they just rehashed 2-year-old sound from that. So please, Dovetail Games, just put some new announcements on. Just recreate them, you know, make them sound realistic like the underground, not just Paddington Station, you know what I mean? The other thing that I found was a bit weird were the signals. I don't know if it was his computer, so Matt's computer was whirring away and didn't feel very well. But yeah, the signals were red, and then he would shut the doors and start moving, and just before he went through it, it went green. So I know that's kind of thing that happens on the underground when you shut the doors and it kind of activates and goes. But it just felt a bit weird that he was gonna go through a red light, and I'd be quite scared to, and I'd wait for the green light. So maybe I have to kind of rethink that when I'm driving. But you know, it was good to see. Just looking through my notes just to see if there was anything else. So we can't open the front door. We had people climbing on the signs. The console does have low-res buildings. We didn't hear about the Q&A, the 4K on console, but hopefully we'll hear about that tonight. It is really, really, really difficult to keep to the timetable. The depots were good. The sounds were quiet, but the sounds that we did get did sound quite good. I did like them. We did look at the adhesion as well, where it was wheel slipping. So with the Bakerloo line, when it does wheel slip, it cuts the power, so you could hear that. So yeah, it was quite nice hearing that. The only thing that it was missing, I'm trying to remember because there's so many different underground trains that are there. I think when it's in the station, sometimes you hear the brakes kind of re-pressurizing. It's like, you know, that sort of sound. Didn't get that. So leave a comment. Does the Bakerloo line make that noise? So like when you're in the station, you just hear the kind of like the old trains. So yeah, probably sounds really weird me doing that, but yeah, you know what I mean. But we are looking forward to the Q&A tonight. That's going to be good, so we'll hear a little bit more about that. Also, because it's Friday, it should be Screenshot Friday. That video might come out later today because I've got something on this afternoon. So it might be tonight that I'll be doing a little video on that, not straight away. Because going around to family and yeah, I can't really take my mic and laptop and, you know, just a sec. I just want to make a video, you know. So yeah, they'll find that quite, yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is probably longer than I thought it was going to be because I thought it was going to be quite a short video, and wow, I'm doing it. It's like 13 minutes already. Okay. Really didn't think it would be that long, but hopefully you enjoyed that. As I said, no screenshots because if you really want to look at it, look at the gameplay, but I know we're all saving ourselves ready for next week. So that's why I wanted to give you that information, but it doesn't ruin everything, you know, for when you go onto it. Don't forget to subscribe to Mega Sim for more videos and ring that notification bell, ding-a-ling, ding, 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 ding. And we are on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter at MegaSimUK. It's a lovely Friday. Look forward to the Q&A tonight. We will do a recap tomorrow sometime on that Q&A. Screenshot Friday is today, so we'll get them later. Have a pleasant weekend, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.